central planning, like from the top down or anything like that. This is all put together by go-betweens and intermediaries, and there really is no, like, organization to the madness. It's, as you said, you see the opportunity and you pounce on it. It really is diabolical in the sense that everything that we just talked about, perfectly legal.
Right. It's completely legal. Again, Mr. Ratner's been charged with no crimes. It does touch on what we call what the media is called the agents of the city controversy, where Bill de Blasio has 5 or 6 consultants around him, and New York One, I believe, filed a Freedom of Information law request seeking the correspondence of these guys and wanted to see what these consultants, who are reaping millions of dollars in business from people who want to do business with the city and are doing business with the city, what they're telling the mayor and what the mayor is telling him. And the mayor offered an unusual defense saying, well, these guys are agents of the city. Even though he's not paying them, not on the payroll, he said, on the mayoral payroll, he said, these are agents of the city. I'm not disclosing them. I'm not disclosing this. Now, Judicial Watch has filed its own request. We'll fight it in court if necessary. I understand other media organizations are going to fight this in court. And one of the figures that we focus on in this article is a guy named Jonathan Rosen, who runs a firm named Berlin Rosen. He's a consultant. He's a PR guy. He's a lobbyist, and he also happens to be a lobbyist and a consultant, a strategist for Bruce Ratner. So you wonder what is he telling the mayor? How are they sort of gaming the system between them? Now, according to published reports, Rosen is under investigation by U.S. Attorney Barrara and Manhattan DA Cy Vance in connection with Mayor de Blasio's fundraising and the mayor's nonprofit organization, Campaign for One New York, which was paid about Rosen's firm was paid about $700,000 by de Blasio entities, and that's another part that we didn't touch on at the top of the program. A lot of these folks now, to get into the corruption game, are creating nonprofit foundations, and then the money will flow to the nonprofit rather than flow directly to, say, a political figure, which would be illegal. And again, if you go through the newspaper, if you look at the cases that Preet Bharara has brought and Cy Vance has brought, there are many corruption cases which have a nonprofit entity kind of, at the center of the scam.
Well, listen, we've only scratched the surface of this article, and we're going to direct all of our listeners to go to the investigative bulletin at judicialwatch.com to read up on this whole thing. Folks, we're talking about billions of dollars, billions with a B, of money that's been floating around here. And like I said, this interview with Mike is just scratching the surface. Micah, tell people, where they can find you on social media. Obviously, the investigative bulletin, I'm adding it to my daily blog roll because I'm checking it out every day now just to see what happens here. But tell everybody how they can find out more about you and all the stuff that you're doing at Judicial Watch.
Gene, thank you so much. And we have an active tips line at Judicial Watch. It's www.judicialwatch.org. You can click there on investigative bulletin, and you'll see me, and there's a tips line there. I'm on Twitter at Micah Morrison. It's MICAH, Micah, MICAH _Morrison, MORRISON. And I'll also have a personal website at micahmorrison.com. You can contact me through any of those vehicles, and I would be happy to speak with folks. And again, I thank you so much for being on. This is a real New York story, a real story that's going to continue for a long time, and we need to stand up and get it fixed, and only if we all work together will that happen.
Well, this is a real New York story that we're going to continue to follow, and we're going to definitely have you on the show as events develop with this story. Micah, thanks so much, man. This was great, and we'll talk to you as you get more information, especially when you get that FOIL request done.
Terrific, Gina. Thank you so much.
All right, that was 2 great interviews we did. One with Burgess Owens, former New York Jet. Now, wow, bringing the fire when it comes to the issues of race in America. And our new friend Micah Morrison. Check him out at micahmorrison.com. Check him out at Judicial Watch as well. Talking about corruption here in the People's Republic of New York City. just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what we're up against here. You know, the reason why the show's called Behind Enemy Lines, folks, is because Russ and I are outnumbered here in New York City. What is it now, 8-1, something like that? I mean, if you don't count the rhinos, something like that, right? But this is what we're up against as far as the corruption and the overt, I'm going to say it again, and everybody's going to have to drink, diabolical nature of the Democratic Party here in New York City.
You pulled diabolical out of, like, the woodshed, you know?
I had to. Listen, you know what? Every now and then, I have to bring out the polysyllabic words. I mean...
Don't you hate when you bust out, like, a good word like that, and then you use it 2 or 3 times in a row, and you're like, damn, I shouldn't use that many times.
I know, it's diabolical when it happens. Listen, folks, I gotta get the plugs in real quick. Thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene, he is Russ, and while we got you listening, check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And while you're listening to this show live on Spreaker Tuesdays at 10 p.m., if you miss any part of it, check out our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM in Jasper, Florida, WDDQ 92.1 in Adel, Georgia. Both are part of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. You can catch us on there as well. You can also catch us on KLRN Radio, formerly K98 Talk. Also on High Plains Talk Radio and Sackheads Media, the Internet's Conservative Radio Network, ICRN, and our brand new internet outlet, Lanterns Radio Network, run by our great friends who used to work with at War Russ. You may remember them. But you know what? There's even more ways to listen. Because if you miss us at any one of those rebroadcast outlets, you can check us out on demand anytime at Spreaker, iTunes, Player FM, Podbay, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player FM. You can discover us on Google Play Podcasts. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud and iHeartRadio. There you go.
And almost every Friday night, you can catch me at Joe's Bar.
Oh,
I'll be in the
stop.
back.
Come on. Absolutely right. But anyway, although not for long, we have to say, we might be saying goodbye to Joe's in a little while. Anyways, I want to get back to where we were before we played the interview with Burgess. First of all, what did you think of Burgess Owens, Russ?
Oh, that's my main man. I especially like what he said. Didn't he say he stopped caring about professional football in 1983?
Yeah, he said that's a Russ Gallo comment. After they stopped paying him, he stopped caring.
That's my man.
It's a great comment. I agree. But what do you think about how he was blunt, man? I mean, he was just like,
he basically
stop
said
apologizing. Well, let's not go that far.
I don't know if he was listening to the show before your interview. Maybe he stole some of my stuff.
He might have. But I loved how he was saying that there are some in the community, in his own community, that are waking up. I mean, and we've seen it the past couple of years. Right? You've seen the Herman Cains of the world and the Allen Wests.
They're not really black, though.
Oh, stop. Of course they are.
No, I thought that if they weren't liberal Democrats, then they're not really black. That's what the black people on TV always say. Am I wrong? Or I don't know. I listened to them. I thought that they were so much smarter than us, and when they tell us things like that,
the media is always smarter than us, right, Russ?
Believe it.
Yeah, we're just supposed to believe them.
We're supposed to believe Bill Cosby was a great guy and Michael Jackson was also a great guy. We're supposed to believe that.
We're supposed to believe that apparently only Black Lives Matter and not everybody else's.
We're supposed to believe that a guy like Mike Tyson deserves a second and third and fifth and seventh chance. We're supposed to believe that. We're supposed to believe that the Reverend Jesse Jackson is actually a reverend. We're supposed to believe that the Reverend Al Sharpton is actually a reverend and a man of God. That's what we're supposed to believe, right?
You took all my talking points. What the hell, man? Weren't we supposed to go back and forth on that? You took 3 of them. What the hell?
We're supposed to believe a guy like Steve Harvey has...
Gene's life matters. Come on.
You're supposed to believe a guy like Steve Harvey has any talent whatsoever. The guy's not even funny. Disastrous host on what is it, Miss Universe, Miss America? I'm supposed to believe all that, right? I'm supposed to believe black entertainment television is not racist, right?
Yeah, he really laced into BET, didn't he?
Yes,
Talking about how it's not really owned by any black entrepreneurs. It's owned by Viacom, and their job, according to Burgess, is to keep the stereotype perpetuated of, curse words and dancing and music. Which, if we were to say that, we'd probably get yanked off air. But I'm glad that Burgess said it for us, because, listen, I think that's on the minds of a lot of people, that there is a priority problem in these communities. They're not willing to look within, to assess blame within for the problems that happen within those communities. They'd rather focus on what's without. They don't want to focus on the 80% of crime, and this is not a real statistic, I'm just spitballing here, the 80% of black-on-black crime versus the 20% of white-on-black crime, or vice versa. They're not willing to focus on, heal thyself, if you want to take a religious spin on it.
Well, the problem is, the mere fact that we refer to them as a community, which is what they refer to themselves as. I've said this for years now. The black community, that right there, in and of itself, is crippling you. Many shows I do this. Listen up, black people. If you listen to the show, please listen to me. Who cares about the community? Worry about you and your family. That's your community. You don't see white people running around saying the white community. I don't give a damn what some white guy's doing 3 blocks from me. I don't care. You know what I mean? He has to worry about his family. I got to worry about mine. And when you start looking at life through that lens, you're going to be all right. These communities that we speak of, it's only minority groups use these terms. The gay community, the black community, the Latino community. It's ridiculous.
It's also divisive. Because when you start focusing on the needs of that community, that's how you get hate crime legislation. That's how you get the separation and division from politicians servicing those communities. You know, when are we going to start looking at each other as human beings and not as a label that a politician has given us? And let's not make any mistake about it. It's the politicians and the media moguls that benefit from this division. It's not you and me benefiting from it, Russ, for sure. You know, it's not any of our minority friends that are benefiting from it, that's for sure. It's the same people that they say are oppressing them. That quote-unquote 1%, that political class, that economic class that's on top in that silver palace, right? Those are the ones that are benefiting from everybody else squabbling amongst each other. When are you going to wake up, folks? It's everybody's battle what happens in this election. It's everybody's battle what happens with this country in years to come. It's everybody's battle to keep us safe. It's everybody's battle to make sure that our rights are protected. This is the great thing about libertarianism in the Republican Party and in the conservative movement. You don't see color. You see rights. And when you're dealing with rights, everybody benefits from those rights equally. And God forbid we actually say something that happens equally because, you know, liberals want to make sure that we all have equal outcomes. It's the equal opportunity that our rights are granted to us from our Creator. Not to get up on a pulpit here, but that's how it's supposed to work. Not this division of some are more equal than others.
Gene said to wake up. Listen, do me a favor, stay asleep. I prefer everybody to stay asleep. You know what I mean? I'm a white male, Christian, heterosexual. I got a job. I'm living comfortably. I worry about me and my family. Stay asleep. You know what I mean? Worry about what the rappers are doing and the basketball players and the professional athletes. You worry about those people. I'll worry about me and my family and putting food on my table and working. Stay asleep. Do me a favor. Stay asleep.
All right. Time for some quick final thoughts. I'm going to let Russ go first. You want to go first? We'll flip a coin. What do you want to do?
I'll
go ahead. You go first.
First of all, rest in peace, John McLaughlin. I was no big fan, but I remember as a kid, he was like 90 years old when I was a kid, so he's got to be pushing 100-something. He just died today. The McLaughlin Group was one of the first political shows I ever watched and got me interested in politics, even though he was a left-wing maniac. And moving on from one old crusty left-wing maniac to another, Hillary Clinton. When will the media look at her medical files? She's limping, falling downstairs, having brain, what'd she say, short circuits. The woman is not fit to be president, and the media needs to look at this. When Dick Cheney had heart issues, they brought it up constantly, saying that he shouldn't be a heartbeat away from the president if he has a bad heart. Stop the double standard. Look into Hillary's health.
All right, real quick, my final thought is I loved Burgess Owens' comment of being a political free agent. Yes, finally, someone else saying it besides me and Russ, saying, look to the issues that matter to you. Don't necessarily go by party label. That's great for identifying, macro issues. But when it comes down to it, be a political free agent, think for yourself, and you know what? Maybe you'll get through this election cycle a lot better than you normally would have if you just voted down the laundry line. And I hope everybody takes that to heart. Be a political free agent. You heard it here behind enemy lines.
Stay asleep. Stay asleep.
Hey, no, wake up.
Go ahead, Milwaukee.
Wake up.
Go riot. Burn down your neighborhood. Stay asleep.
Wake up. Listen.
Vote Democrat. Vote Democrat.
It's time to shut this sucker down. What do you say, Russ?
Vote Democrat, you jerks.
I think that was some sheep. Whatever. We're going to shut this sucker down. Thanks for listening to this show. From me and Russ here in the People's Republic of New York City, we are out of here. Good night, folks.